Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. At the heart of this conference are the distinguished speakers and experts who bring with them a wealth of knowledge, experience, and vision. Let's start with the official part of the second day of our International Regulatory Conference, where resilience in a connected world will be considered, the safeguarding of end-user rights, and the critical importance of cybersecurity in maintaining stability and trust across digital ecosystems. As we move into the domain of resilience and cybersecurity, we are pleased to welcome Ms. Victoria Omelianenko, Project Officer at the ITU Office for Europe. Her presentation, Strengthening Resilience in a Connected World, will explore strategies for ensuring robustness in our digital infrastructure.
Good morning, everyone. It's my honor to open today's second day of the conference, and it's a great pleasure to see you all. And dear ladies and gentlemen, we will talk today about the resilience, and we will talk about the resilience in connectivity as the digital lifeline. Before we begin, I would like to ask a very simple question. What would happen if tomorrow mobile networks stop working? If digital payment systems fail? If hospitals cannot access the data of their patients, and at the same time, emergency alerts never arrive. This might sound theoretical, but in many cases, this is real, and the risks are real. And of course, as a community working in this area, we all know how tangible are these risks, how they are close, and when they happen, then the crisis management is already the second part of our actions and resilience. But speaking of that, we would focus today also on the ITU report that has been prepared together with the partners from United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction and SciencePo. And this report was prepared on the occasion of World Telecommunication Information Society Day, especially covering the risk in the digital domain, physical risk. And at the same time, looking at the portfolio of International Telecommunication Union as the UN agency, we do lots of activities on the cybersecurity resilience. This will be our second aspect of the presentation. But speaking about the risks, the key highlights from the report and key thoughts that might be taken for all of us is that now, of course, modern society depends on the digital infrastructure more than ever, and fragility is even more important and should be understood better. Large-scale, non-intentional disruptions are plausible and could cascade across sectors and borders. Risk also includes solar storms, space debris, extreme weather conditions, and infrastructure failure. Up to 89% of disruption stem from the cascading spillover effect, not from the event itself, but from the next steps that risk cause and that the disaster can cause. And at the same time, as we rely more on digital connectivity infrastructure, analog fallback systems and offline capabilities are rapidly disappearing. And current risk management frameworks remain insufficient for systemic digital disruption. Overall, the report provides the analysis of the risk, but at the same time specific recommendations, how to increase resilience, preparedness, coordinations, and standards and global cooperation. We talked a lot today and yesterday about how we address the risk, but let's also take a look about the different infrastructure domains. First of all, power grids, the foundational layer, and all digital infrastructure depends on electricity. Power failures immediately disrupt telecom, cloud services, payments, satellites, and emergency system. We often think the digital systems are virtual, and in the ecosystem of digital transformation, this is how it's always interpreted, but at the same time, we all know that digital infrastructure is physical. And another interesting fact that over 99% of international internet traffic is going through submarine cables that is defined as the second backbone connectivity layer, and it's highly vulnerable to earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, also fission activities, and core damage. And repairs for such connectivity for the submarine cables usually takes weeks or months, causing widespread global disruptions, not only at the national or local level. Third pillar of critical infrastructure domain is satellite systems and space weather. Here, the risk includes the solar storm that can damage transformers, satellites, GPS navigation, communication, financial systems. Risk also include the storms, the satellite failures, and space debris as well. Current preparedness framework remain insufficient. As we know, this is also the area that is being developed, and more challenges and at the same time opportunities arise. First pillar is about the data centers. We also know how important a data center, that they underpin finance, healthcare, cloud computing, and government strategies. And while we have increasing geographical concentration, this also increases the vulnerabilities of data centers. And again, we can speak a lot about the physical risk and physical threats that can endanger and at the same time affect the digital transformation and digital connectivity. Critical digital disruptions are often simultaneous, interconnected, cross-sectoral, and prolonged beyond backup capacity. And at the same time, it can happen at once, but it can also happen as one event after another that will only make it much more complicated and much more longer to recover from the effect. And in this case, we speak about the resilience as the prevention, and of course, about the strong risk management frameworks. The hidden architecture of digital risk. This is, again, very shortly that we can see only the part of the risk that we work on a daily basis, but at the same time, we all the time need to bear in mind the large ecosystem of digital infrastructure overall and how it's dependent on the physical, but also on the digital risks. And about 6 priority actions. So, of course, in this case, we speak about the necessity to build knowledge, and this includes mapping cross-sectoral dependencies, modeling cascading failures, and identifying critical digital risks. Second priority action that has been identified and elaborated as well is updating risk management. As I mentioned today, that with a new risk, with the new challenges, this is the crucial part. Strengthening resilience standards, enhancing proactive coordination, strengthening societal resilience, and building trust and collaboration. And concluding this part, we can imagine that what if connectivity reached everyone and everywhere? What if global data traffic across oceans was never interrupted? And ITU has a number of actions on these elements. For example, a submarine cable resilience board that is coordinating and is overseeing the sea cable resilience. At the same time, what if every digital network was trusted and secure? We spoke a lot about the trusted networks yesterday and also will continue today. And what if a simple message on your phone could save your life in the case of emergencies? Now, turning more into ITU cybersecurity activities, how the ITU is working to deal with all the risk and, of course, to implement activities at the national level. One of the actions is national CRT establishment and enhancement, and national ITU is doing lots of assessment for cyber incident response team, defining the readiness to implement, and of course also developing the national frameworks, assisting with planning, implementation, operations of the national teams. And at the same time, it's the action that is required globally. You can see how many different assessments have been done, and 22 cyber incident response team has been established with the support of ITU around the globe, not only in Europe, but in Europe as well. Second element that is very crucial is cyber capacity building, and cyber drills is the important activity globally from ITU side, and this is the hands-on exercise for national cyber incident response team, and at the same time it's the platform cooperation, exchange of experiences, and dealing with the risk in the real time while exercises and while sharing the experience and working on the real threats during the simulations. Cyber for Good. Cyber for Good is another global activity of ITU, and this one is focused on connecting the least developed countries with private sector. Private sector cooperation and private sector companies is also the critical part of strengthening the resilience of the national authorities, of the national ecosystems, and at the same time connecting and matchmaking the countries with the private sector solution helps to foster the resilience and to improve the cybersecurity overall. Another activity that is also very important is the assessment and understanding what is the context of cybersecurity in the countries. ITU is taking different assessment and being carrying out different assessment in many countries, and this also comes as a technical assistance on the basis of the cybersecurity index, but this will come as a next part. Before implementing the action and training, of course, the assessment part is critical. And speaking about societal resilience, these were more cybersecurity programs, but we also believe that child protection is part of cybersecurity, and child protection is a part of societal resilience. That is why at ITU level we have the child online protection guidelines developed and implemented in many countries around the world, including Europe, including also Balkan countries, and these guidelines, they provide the specific recommendations what each of the stakeholders group has to implement within their responsibilities to ensure that child protection is enforced at the national level. And all stakeholders groups are important. When we speak about digital risk and resilience, the critical point and the most important point that this is cross-sectoral cooperation and each of the stakeholders has their responsibilities to ensure the resilience. At the same time, we have the child protection capacity building programs, online trainings, on-site trainings, the game, the web portal that helps children in the interactive way to learn about the digital skills and digital online safety. Global Cybersecurity Index is another pillar of ITU work about cybersecurity that measures within different pillars from legal, technical, organizational capacity development and cooperation aspects, how resilient and how developed the countries are in their cybersecurity. The last edition was in 2024, and I would strongly encourage also to use this and to refer to understand the global context. And another activity that I would like to focus that is also very important for the Balkan countries is early warning for all. Early warning for all is a groundbreaking initiative that aims to protect everyone by 2027. It has been launched by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. In 2022, ITU is implementing the activities on this regard as well. And this is people-centered initiative that is aimed to help countries to be prepared for the risk and to build the resilience and early warning systems in case of the different natural hazards and disasters. Early warning for all contributes directly to UN Sustainable Development Goals and is implemented globally. For the Western Balkans region, as I mentioned, it's also important because we see that there is existing need to update the legal frameworks, to update the approaches, and to support further the technical assistance and implementation of the early warning systems and the technical solutions. At the current stage, this initiative has two phases of implementation, and first phase involves Albania, North Macedonia, Serbia, and Kosovo. And this is focused also on strengthening transport cooperation and capacities on disaster risk management and early warning system in Western Balkans. The second phase is also being developed, and it includes 4 pillars that you can see also: disaster risk knowledge, detection, monitoring, analysis, forecasting of hazards, community preparedness, and warning dissemination and communication. These are all the pillars that are important for the early warning system, and this is the comprehensive approach that we are undertaking to ensure that all aspects of the issue, and in case of the risk and of the emergency situation, all pillars will be working together to ensure the best preparedness and resilience. Shortly about ITU Europe activities. As we see the global picture, and as we know that in IT Europe office, we closely work with all European countries, and I would like specifically focus that, for example, in North Macedonia and in Montenegro, the technical assistance has been provided for the feasibility study of the implementation of public warning system, and as well the technical specifications on the systems that are required to be implemented in the country. ITU has also provided support to Georgia on the development of the National Emergency Telecommunication Plan, and emergency response capabilities were strengthened also in Moldova by conducting feasibility study with a technical, economic, and regulatory analysis for the implementation of the early warning system on the cell broadcast. One of the initiatives was last year strengthening the emergency preparedness capabilities in the Western Balkan country. This was a workshop that we organized last year in Montenegro, that also some of you visited as well, and that this initiative is being continued. At the same time, as we also today in North Macedonia, I would like to share that we have cybersecurity forum on Cyber Drill for Europe that will be taking place in Skopje in October. And as a quickly also for cyber drills, this includes different parts from the forum side, from the training part, and from the scenario-based exercises, and having all these elements together from the exchange of experience, learning, and practicing. This ensures the strengthened understanding of the cyber capacity of risk, and it increases the cyber skills of the technicians, but also of all stakeholders related to the area. One of the another activities that we implemented that also is related to cybersecurity and resilience is the transformation AI and cybersecurity, shaping trust digital future. This is the scientific international practical conference that is organized by our Ukrainian partners, Ukrainian Academia University, and this one will be taking place in June in Istanbul. This opened for the registration and is bringing the community of experts around Europe to discuss the intersection between these elements. This is the conference we did last year. This also was a similar conference on cybersecurity in Krakow in November 2025 with the academia members that also then contributes to ITU study working groups. And last but not the least, we have the implementation of child protection activities around Europe, in Albania, in Serbia, with the translation of guidelines, with capacity building activities, and with partnerships that are being developed. In November last year, we hold the big child protection event for the regional level, and for the next activities, there are many still opportunities to work and to strengthen this part of the societal resilience and of building the stronger child protection networks and ecosystems in the countries. Thank you so much, and these are the contact details. I wish you a productive day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Omelianenko. Now allow me to present Ms. Tijana Glišić, RF Spectrum Monitoring Senior Officer at RATEL. In her presentation, Professional Supervision of Persons Authorized to Perform Measurements and Testing, she will address regulatory oversight and technical assurance.
Okej, okej. Svejedno, ajde. Ako su oni namestili kako?
Sorry. Now I want you to introduce Ms. Nadica Josifovski, advisor to the Director of Information Security at AEC. Her presentation, Strengthening Organizational Cybersecurity through a Phased ICMC Implementation Roadmap, will outline the importance of implementing information security management for strengthening the security posture of public institutions and agencies in Macedonia and the WB6 countries. Povedete.
Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be on this stage. Before I start with the presentation, I want to thank the US Department of State, CRDF, and Agency of Electronic Communication that allowed me and make it possible for me to do this research on a subject which is, I think, very important in Macedonia, but also in the Western Balkan countries. All the researches and reports that were done by international organizations like OECD, RCC, ITU, DCAF, and many others shows that in the last several years there is significant improvement in the cybersecurity posture of the Western Balkan countries, especially in the field of adopting the strategies and adopting the laws that are in line with NIS2 directive. However, they are all together emphasize that there is still a lot of work in the implementation part and that there are still a lot of gaps that need to be fulfilled. Rapid digitalization in the region improved a lot of new and existing public e-services, but at the same time increases significantly the risk of cyber incidents on this field. This is something that is due to limited capacity and weak coordination in the institutions. And most of the institutions are using fragmented, ad hoc, and reactive cybersecurity practices. In order to overcome this situation and to make a better cybersecurity posture in the region, the solution should be a practical, comprehensive, and adaptable information security management system that will enable organizations to move from reactive to proactive security risk-based management. This will significantly increase the maturity of the organization in the field of cybersecurity and will help them to be prepared for certification on the field of cybersecurity. My research was analyzing different frameworks and different directives in order to find the best one which will help to create a roadmap that will be useful for the public institution in front of every others. And at the end, I found it most important that the NIS2 directive, NIST cybersecurity framework, and ISO 27001 make very good conceptual alignment and that are very important for establishing information security management system. The NIS2 directive is actually the regulatory baseline, and this is the directive to which all Western Balkan countries are striving to be aligned. On the other hand, the US experience shows that actually the NIST is more practical and functional model for establishing this goal, and at the time of implementation, we need to pay attention to ISO 27001 because it has the deepest control granularity, and it is very important for organizations to certify it according to ISO in order to be in order to be concurrent in this cybersecurity world. The proposed information security management implementation roadmap is based on mapping on these three frameworks, and it has 6 phases. The first phase is the most important phase. It is governance and foundation, and it actually establishes the information security management foundation. Here, as a first thing to be done is high management commitment and political will. I put it in the first phase, even though it can be put as a precondition before starting anything to do, because it is very important driver to start implementing the information security management system. The scope is also very important because institutions with different cybersecurity maturity can define different scopes in order to improve their cybersecurity posture and to advance. I would also mention here the roles and responsibilities, because we need to strictly define roles and responsibilities, but also it is important to pay attention to the experts we have, not always seeking for new experts in the field, but also to try to, upgrade the existing experts to fulfill what can help the organization in its advancement. The second phase, according to me, is one of the most important phases, because most of the organization react after the incident happened. So well managing the cybersecurity and information security risks as a part of overall managing risks in the organization, and having up-to-date risk management, register is one of the key things to enable organization to react proactively and to stop as much as incidents it can before they happen. The third phase is implementation of security controls, and it actually safeguards to put these controls in place as early as possible, so the organization can take the step with evolving cybersecurity risks. Of course, it's nothing if we did anything in the previous phases if we are not monitoring and trying to detect what is going on. So logging system, monitoring process, and alerting and detection mechanisms are one of the most important, and increase the visibility, again, to be able to identify and act as early as possible. Incident response and recovery is also one of the phases that is important. I mean, all of the phases are important, but some of them need to be emphasized. Here, it's important that the organization are able to make disaster recovery in a shortest possible time, and also to be able to continue their important processes, business processes, as soon as possible in a case of incident report, and that's why this is a very important phase. And the last phase is maybe the most complicated one, because it's always hard to public institutions to define correct key performance indicators according to which they will follow what is going on. And based on everything that the organizations do in previous phases, here they need to check, to evaluate, and like a spiral model, to implement the plan, do, check, act model, with which they will identify what are their strong sides, what they have improved in the previous period, but also it's very important to find a new improvement points that will raise the institution one level up in the cybersecurity maturity posture. This is a table that I made based on the US best practices, my experience, and also the researches I did in the previous period. And in order to have a better visibility of the time needed for any institution to implement each of the phases of information security management system and to improve its cybersecurity posture, I used the three-level model of institution maturity model or cybersecurity preparedness to see what time is needed for each of the phases. I emphasize once again that these are only estimated times, and the real time that is needed in practice will be defined after assessing each of the public institutions. But it is very important for the institutions to start this process and to try to improve what they do. In practice, some of these phases also may be shortened in the sense that they can overlap in between, and that's why I said that after the assessment is done in public institutions, then we will able to define the exact time needed for implementation. To do this, at this point in Macedonia and in the Western Balkans, we are facing with a lot of challenges, and one of the hugest of them is limited human resources, but also technical resources. And also our institutions somehow had a resistance to change. So by making trainings for them to make them aware about cybersecurity and about importance of risk-based and proactive reactions in cybersecurity and information security field, I think that this resistance will be somehow softened, I would say. And also another challenge which is important, that whatever we do, we need a time to set the information security management system, and even in the phase of improving it, but the cyber security threats evolves very fast, and it is really hard to keep pace with them. Of course, I will not speak about key enablers, but I will once again emphasize the importance of the political will and the top management commitment. And even I want to say a few words about the benefits, which means that it will be very beneficial for the organization to move from reactive to proactive security risk management. They will improve their governance, improve their data protection, and of course, if they act in a standardized manner, they will be able to optimize their resource use and achieve better resilience in the public organization. But what is most important is that they will, in that way, increase the public trust to the public organization, which is very, very important. The positive outcomes, if organizations start to implement such systems, on a short term is that it will improve coordination and incident response, and it will improve the resilience. And again, derived from the benefits, it will build security culture in the organization, raise awareness about cybersecurity, organization will be more stable, and again, the trust from the citizens and from the businesses to the public institutions is invaluable. Before I go to the conclusion, I will, because I know that there are colleagues from public institutions and agencies, not only from Macedonia, but in the region, I will call them to think what they are doing in their everyday work, because there are most of organizations which eventually has higher cybersecurity matureness, but they are not doing it in a structured way through information security management system, but they are just partially implementing some of the phases that I have previously mentioned. And because the time here is limited, I am available and will be more than happy to discuss this subject further, either here on the conference or maybe later. You can contact me on email, and we can organize some meetings to discuss this subject further and deeper. I would finish now with the saying that cyber threats cannot be completely eliminated, but well-implemented information security management system will enable public sector entities to manage risk proactively, to minimize the impact on their business processes, and of course, to protect their most valuable assets. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sifusky. We are also delighted to hear from Mr. Sasho Mitskov, cybersecurity expert, who will present Beyond Prevention, Reducing Chaos During a Cyber Incident. His insights will focus on effective response strategies in moments of crisis.
Thank you. How much? We have 10 minutes, I suppose. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everybody. And first of all, thank you for this opportunity and for good organization. I will try in next 15 minutes, not more. Actually, I will proceed with the strategy or with discussion which previously was mentioned several times about the resilience. But I will focus in one specific area of resilience, which is connected with incident management. I will try to explain why it's most important part of cyber resilience strategies to have good incident management practice. Okay, let's start. As I said, my presentation is divided in three sections. I will start actually I will try to explain the resilience, although the previous colleagues, I think, touched this topic. After that, I will mention why it's important and what is the key challenges today facing with incident management, and of course, what is the solution. At the end of the day, everybody, especially of this technical part of society, not just to bring the problem, we should bring to the society a solution. Okay, we are all of us aware that the question that incident will happen, I think it's reality. Today, maybe it's not just the phrase. I think this is very, very true. It's not the question if, the question is when we are facing with the incident. This is really, really true today. Having in mind in this, it's very important to have good incident management in practice, because all relevant research from the portals, organizations, committee, and so on confirm that especially society and agency, regulatory and so on, they have zero tolerance about not to having proper incident management in place. They have some, okay, let's say, understanding if incident is happening, because as I said, this is the reality. But not to having proper reaction of this incident, I think there is no excuse for the perspective of regulatory. They have zero tolerance if you don't have any kind of systematic approach how to deal with the incident. Because of that, it's very important to have incident management which work in the reality. But of course, this is very, very, very difficult to achieve. Of course, in order to, because of that, we should pay attention, because if incident happening, as I said before, we can struggle not only specific, let's say, organizational, having in mind that we all are connected somehow in this digital world, the impact, negative impact can have very, very, let's say, a negative impact in wider scope. Because of that, today, everybody of us, even today, even yesterday, and we are speaking about cyber resilience. Cyber resilience is something which should be treated as a, let's say, additional level after the cybersecurity, as I cannot say this is the obsolete terminology, but today cyber resilience, I think it's most often is using when we speak about prevention and so on. Actually, focus of cyber resilience is on fact that incident is reality. Incident will happen sometime in the future. Our job is to have to minimize the impact of this incident, to have proper response and to recover our system as soon as possible. Of course, as I said, this is very, very difficult job because we have too much things to do, too much different attack vectors, too much different stakeholders, and so on. We are facing with a lot of challenging when we are speaking about the proper incident management. But there is a solution for this, of course. What is the solution of this? Solution of this to have the proper incident management. Today, we can find a lot of different kind of, let's say, definition of framework which deal with the incident management as a process. I prefer this from NIST because I think it covers everything which is important for the proper incident management. For me, it's most important part of this framework that they mention phase of preparation. This is very, very important. There is also another incident management framework in place. It was mentioned previously, ISO, also SANS has very good incident management framework and so on. But NIST is good because, as I said before, there is a preparation, they mention preparation phase. But what is here let's say, the weakest part? Even the NIST doesn't mention a very important part of incident management. This is the practice. That means it's not enough just to have preparation phase. Usually the preparation phase in our framework is dealing with documentation and say, yes, we have a documentation. In the preparation phase, yes, we develop the incident management, we develop security policy, we develop procedures. But this is not enough. This is not enough. This documentation should be somehow practiced, should be aligned with the reality. Everybody of us should understand what is the responsibility according to this policy. Everybody, starting from the management until the, I don't know, to technical person who dealing with the incident. This is very important to have this practice in this chain of events. NIST still doesn't put this as formal, but I hope that in the future, very soon, they announce something, but it's not still informal. But they will put as a separate pillar, let's say, or separate phase in the incident, in the chain of incident management process, because they understand that usually the people understand that it's enough to have preparation, that just to have documentation, not to practice. Actually, this is the main point of my presentation, the practice. It's not enough to have incident management just on the paper. It was mentioned several times, even yesterday, about the cyber drill initiative, but there is few aspects of a few different scenario or approach how we can practice incident management. Cyber drill is one of the, let's say, most important part, of course, of this exercise, but according to my experience, it's very important, and maybe that should be first phase in the practice of incident management to start with tabletop exercise. Not to jump directly into cyber drill. Why? Because cyber drill is usually focused on the technical part. And it's focusing on the technical guys, technical person, security person in the organization. And in one way or another, those persons are already aware about the incident management importance and so on. What is missing link in this process is awareness of the rest of the company, rest of the organization, management, and all other, let's say, persons in the company, including legal, compliance, marketing also is very important, how to communicate with outside world when incident is happening and so on. Because of that, as I said, based on my experience, not just my experience, this is the relevant conclusion from the different very relevant sources, we should start it with the tabletop exercise. Not just started to continuously perform during the year. The good news is that nevertheless, what kind of exercise you choose, there is a few basic elements which all type of exercise should have. We should have good planning, we should have execution, evaluation, reporting, and improvement. Improvement is something which should give us very specific outcome of our practice and exercise, and to use as an input for the next improvement process of our posture, our security documentation, and so on. What is most important part when we coming to the process of practice or testing or exercise or simulation of incident management? We should deal with three pillars or three elements. This is the people, process, and tool. People are usually connected with the incident response and plan, with the documentation. Yes, we have it, good documentation. Yes, we have it, incident response plan. Okay. Process, we should have proper playbook. This is the scenario based on very specific attack vector. For example, denial of service, for example, I don't know, identity theft, ransomware, and so on. This is the playbook like algorithm, like steps, very, very specific steps. What should be done in the case of, I don't know, DDoS attack? And third element is tool. Of course, without proper hardware or software tools and services, we cannot deal with the incident management in the response plan. This is the log management, CM, threat intelligence, firewalls, and so on. But all of them should be in one comprehensive, let's say, system. It's very similar with the real world. Even in the real world, with some incident or disaster is happening, we should have three elements in the place: people, tools, and processes. It's very similar in the cyber world. We should have those three elements in practice to work as a one system. How we can achieve this? How we can put all these three elements in one? I mentioned this is the practice like exercise, testing, simulation, and so on. Not going into details because we don't have too much time, I will mention that this process of incident management and especially readiness or exercise or practice, it's recognized by all relevant cybersecurity law and regulation today, like NIS, and they mentioned that exercise should be done on a regular way, not once per year and to forget, they should perform continuously. On the other hand, why? Because it's very important what you mentioned in the beginning of presentation, that regulatory expect from us not just to have on the paper documentation, we should prove that our documentation is working, that our documentation is aligned with the real practice, that our documentation and incident response plan is understandable in the reality, and everybody in this chain of event is understanding. The only way how we can prove this is through the exercise. We should prove through the evidence, like report, like simulation, or whatever we choose, that yes, our incident management is working. It's not just this, also the other relevant standards or framework mentioned importance of practice and exercise, like ISO, like DORA, the very relevant regulation focusing on financial institution, but also our local domestic new law about the security or, yes, for security for network and information system. They mentioned the importance, maybe not specifically directly with, how to say, with specific metrics, how often should be done during the year, but they mention in every, let's say, sentence, you can recognize that they're forcing process of testing, exercise, practice. As I said, this is not easy job. There is too much challenges in this process. How to implement incident management, incident response, which is work. As I mentioned before, there is too many systems, too many attack vectors, too many vendors, and so on. This is not easy job at all. But there is a solution. There is a solution. What is the solution for this? One of the solutions is to implement somehow tool. Today, thanks to the artificial intelligence, this process of developing or deploying of some good solution to automate some process is very shortened. And me, together with my colleague, because we are struggling with this process, few months ago, we're starting like demo, one platform which we are using internally for our job. How to perform, how to implement incident management which work in reality. That was our main job. And we developed one internally like demo, and so far we are satisfied with this. And my experiences, and I will suggest to think about this, especially from technical point of view, to implement some portal or some automatic tool, how to connect all of these stakeholders, different stakeholders which are involving in the incident management process in one place. Without proper automatic tool, this is very difficult, because usually this is done by the email, documentation, and so on. As I mentioned, this is the demo. Everybody of you, it's welcome to go there if you have good your comments or your experience. It's very valid for us to be better, and it's welcome to go in this demo and to give your opinion about this. Okay, this is the demo. I will not bother you with this. This is what I want. I think I'm in the frame of 15 minutes. If you have some question, I'm here. My email is available for communication or during the coffee break and whatever. And thank you for, if you have some question, it's welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mitskov. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have a 15-minute coffee break and we will continue after that. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, now allow me to present Ms. Tijana Glišić, RF Spectrum Monitoring Senior Officer at RATEL. In her presentation, Professional Supervision of Persons Authorized to Perform Measurements and Testing, she will address regulatory oversight and technical assurance.
Good day, everyone. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I will represent you the professional supervision of persons authorized to perform measurements and tests as a novelty in Serbian electronic communication regulation. Law on electronic communication, adopted in 2023, introduced the professional supervision as a new instrument in Serbian electronic communication regulation. According to previous law, RATEL was authorized to request from operators the data and information necessary to verify their compliance with the obligation to conduct electronic communication activities in accordance with the prescribed conditions. Supervision of these activities was performed throughout inspection tasks carried out by the Ministry of Information and Telecommunication. But now, according to the new law, RATEL performs professional supervision over the application of the law. Advantage of this new law is proactive role of the regulator, efficient implementation of the law, and clear and transparent procedures for professional supervision. There are two types of professional supervision, regular and unplanned. Regular is carried out through professional supervision plan made by the head of the component unit based on the risk assessment, and it's performed in defined period, is depending on the risk assessment. It's usually an annual plan. Unplanned is done officially or at the request of the electronic communication inspector from Ministry of Information and Telecommunication of the Republic of Serbia on upon other requests compliant on initiative. So, who performs supervision? The authorized persons employed by the RATEL. They carry out both regular and unplanned supervision. RATEL is empowered to request data and documentation from operator and party, conduct measurements and tests of network and services, and inspect electronic communication, radio, and terminal equipment. This is the whole scope of supervision. What is controlled? The compliance, the network parameters, the service quality, equipment requirements, network security, and measurements and operations. So, to perform measurements and tests, the company or other legal entity must require the authorization issued by the Ministry of Information and Telecommunication. There are 5 criteria that must be met. Headquarters in the Republic of Serbia, minimum 2 employees, one with a university degree of electronic engineering, the appropriate calibration measurement equipment, adequate space for the operation of equipment and for post-processing measurement results and reporting, and implementation of measurement and calculation methods in accordance with valid Serbian, European, and international standards. So, the Joint Commission, consisted of representatives of a ministry and RATEL, verifies that the criteria are met. They perform administrative and field check. Administrative check is performed at the regulator's premises by reviewing the acts, data, information, documentation submitted by the companies. And field check is performed at the company's locations, branch offices, and at the measurement and test location. The Joint Commission perform direct inspection of equipment, system premises, measurements methods, and personnel. And if all criteria, if the company or other legal entity meets all the criteria, it is authorized to perform measurements and tests. There are total 9 authorization holders from August 2025 when the implementation started, and issued authorization is for measurement and test during radio station inspection. The authorization is for following radio stations: a sound broadcasting station, digital television radio station, base station in a public telecommunication network, radio navigation station, land mobile stations for PMR networks and for digital private networks, radio determination station, radio station in the satellite service, and radio relay stations. So, after they perform the technical inspection of radio stations, the authorization holders must submit the technical inspection report. You can see on the picture on the right side, this is the example of that report. And the technical part of inspection include location of the radio station, frequency, harmonics, transmitter power, occupied bandwidth, frequency deviation, type of antenna, height of antenna, etc., etc., etc. From 2015 to 2025, there is moreover the 100,000 performed technical inspection of radio stations. Therefore, professional supervision of measurement and tests are crucial and necessary. Large number. So, a regulator, RATELs, perform ongoing supervision over the authorization holders, and the representatives of RATEL perform office supervision and field supervision. The office supervision is conducted at RATEL premises by reviewing the documentation, and field supervision is performed on site at the authorized company by checking the equipment, facilities, and processes. Includes direct observation and statements. The regular supervision is performed not more 9 months after authorization is granted, afterwards annually, and unplanned is performed upon inspection request, compliance, or official initiative. So the documents produced during the supervision are checklists, official notes, and professional supervision report. So, if the representatives of RATEL during the process of professional supervision of the authorized holders identify some irregularities, they immediately notify the company and set a deadline within the all irregularities must be resolved. If deadline passed and irregularities have not been resolved, then the representatives of RATEL report to Ministry's inspection and authorization may be withdrawn. Ministry may also withdraw the authorization if a company no longer meets prescribed conditions or authorization was granted based on incorrect or false data. And from the August 2025, most common identified irregularity was non-compliance with the prescribed deadlines for submitting technical inspection reports. Here you can see the professional supervision chart from first to the last part. It's not complicated, it does look like that. So, professional supervision is the key instrument for ensuring the reliability and quality of measurements and tests conducted on electronic communication network service and environment. Thank you very much.
It is a pleasure to welcome Ms. Milica Bosnić-Mirković, Head of the Electronic Communications User Protection Department at RATEL. Her presentation, Price Increase, Misleading of End Users, Clear Agreements and End User Rights, will highlight the importance of transparency and consumer protection. Izvolite.
Thank you very much. Which is for presentation? Okay. 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 Here? No? Here? Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation and for the opportunity to speak today at this important conference. It's a pleasure to share Serbia's experience regarding a challenge that all participants in the electronic communication market face today: price increases and the question of how we can ensure clear contracts and effective protection of end user through a lawful and transparent practices. They say that the only constant in life is change. And the electronic communication market today is more dynamic than ever before. And technology is developing rapidly, new services and promotional packages appear constantly, and at the same time, users' expectations continue to grow. In this environment, changes in services are often followed by changes in prices, and price increases and always among the most sensitive issues for users. This situation can easily lead to misunderstanding, but they can also become an opportunity to improve the relationship between users, operators, and regulators. Today, I would like to discuss how proper information and clean contracts can make the differences between confusion and trust. The issue of clear information and user notification has three important dimensions: the user perspective, the market perspective, and the regulatory perspective. From the user's perspective, clear notification means trust and security. The users want to know in advance what they are paying for, how much they are paying, and under which condition they will receive the service. From the market perspective, transparency means fair competition and market stability. It leads to fewer complaints, fewer refunds, and lower customer churn. When the rules are clear, service providers compete through quality and innovation, not through unclear terms and conditions. And from a regulator's perspective, clarity is essential for ensuring compliance with legislation and with European best practices. It is also a key condition for maintaining a stable market and reducing of number of disputes. Price increases always trigger reaction from end users. The most common questions are: what exactly is changing? When will the changes take effect? And what are the consequences for users? Providing all of this information clearly and understandably is a challenge for every notification. However, the legal framework in Serbia already provides good solution. The law of electronic communication and the consumer protection law together create the foundation for user protection. The first regulates timely and mandatory user notification, while the second focuses on transparency, completeness of information, and the customer rights makes an informed decision. In addition, RATEL adopted the rule book of information regarding contract terms, which further strengthens transparency in this area. The legislative framework in this field is implemented through the cooperation of RATEL and the competent ministries. RATEL handles out-of-court dispute resolution procedure between end users and service providers. It is also responsible for monitoring compliance with the law and identifying irregularities in user notification. The Ministry of Information and Telecommunication supervises the implementation of the law of electronic communication and carries out inspections. At the same time, the Ministry of Internal and External Trade plays an important role in consumer protection by supervising the implementation of the consumer protection law, especially regarding the content of notifications sent to users. Challenges related to price increases are not unique to Serbia. Similar issues exist across Europe. Regulatory practice shows that a stable market depends on several important principles, but the key common denominator everywhere is clear: timely and comprehensive user information. For example, in the United Kingdom, Ofcom requires operators to inform users about every price change and to allow contract termination without penalties. At the European Union level, BEREC emphasized transparency, comparability of offers, and the use of simple and understandable language. In Germany, contracts must clearly specify and cost without explanation. Across the European Union, contracts increasingly include precise formulas for price indexation, often linked to inflation, so that users know in advance under which condition prices may increase. In addition, regulators across Europe are investing more and more in online portals and interactive tools that help users compare prices and services package offered by different providers. In practice, the most common problem in Serbia arises when users are not properly informed. Notifications often fail to clearly highlight the deadlines for contracts termination and the consequences for the end users. Marketing messages are also frequently mixed with official notification, which means that user rights may remain unclear or overlooked. Another issue is the unclear presentation of service packages and the difference between promotional and regular prices. Users also often lack complete information about additional charges. In the area of roaming, the main challenge is informing users about prices and excessive usage warnings. And finally, value-added services remain a sensitive issue because users sometimes activate services through SMS messages or application without realizing that they are entering into a paid subscription. Because information is not always sufficiently clear or complete, users often develop assumptions that may sound logical but are not actually based on the law. These misunderstandings frequently lead to complaints and disputes, and I would now like to highlight several common examples. Misleading users does not affect only individuals, it also affects the market as a whole. For users, this can mean unexpected costs and financial losses. For service providers and regulators, it means additional engagement of customer support teams, legal department, and regulatory resources in order to resolve disputes and misunderstandings. Perhaps the most serious consequence is the loss of trust in the market itself. Users become less willing to try new services and are more likely to switch providers. At the same time, the number of contract termination requested, complaints, and out-of-court dispute resolution procedures continues to increase. Just a moment. The numbers clearly show how important the issue of price increases and clear notification has become in practice. Over the last 3 years, RATEL has recorded a significant increase in complaints and requests submitted by end users. In 2025, most of these complaints relate to price increases and unclear notification regarding changes to contract terms. We have noticed a clear trend. Whenever notifications are not sufficiently transparent, the number of complaints increasing significantly. Everything we have discussed so far, from misunderstandings to market consequences, leads to any clear conclusion. The solution lies in clear and transparent contracts. With this goal in mind, and in order to improve communication between users and service providers, Rattle adopted the rulebook. I know the title of the rulebook sounds long and complicated, perhaps even longer than the contract itself, but its purpose is actually very simple: to make contracts easier and to understand. To ensure that contracts are truly clear and transparent, the rulebook goes beyond general principles and addresses practical details. It clearly defines what must be published, from contract terms and the way they are presented to contract summaries and a notification regarding amendments. Importantly, the rulebook also clearly regulates users' rights to unilateral contract termination, as well as obligations related to terminal equipment costs, an issue that has often caused disputes in practice. So, this document is not just a technical regulation, it's a practical tool that creates a clear framework for both users and service providers, leaving less room for misunderstandings and different interpretation. In addition to the rulebook, one of the practical tools that Rattle uses to improve market transparency is our Price of Service portal. Through this portal, end users can access publicly available information about the prices of electronic communication services. Users can compare offers from different providers, including mobile and fixed telephony, internet services, and television packages. The portal was designed as a practical guide for users, helping them make informed decisions while encouraging their competition among services providers. In other words, this is one example of how Rattle transforms regulation into practical solution for the market. And finally, let us briefly summarize the most important rights of end users. These rights are clearly guaranteed by law and secondary legislation. Users have right to clear and full information before and during term and agreement, right to be notified 30 days in advance about every change or terms or prices, right to terminate the agreement without penalties if the change is determined, right to protection via regulators mediated procedure, right to transparent and comparable information via through the price and service portal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mirkovic. Distinguished guests, as we embark upon this conference, let us embrace the opportunity not only to exchange knowledge, but to strengthen partnerships, inspire innovations, and shape a future where connectivity is not merely widespread, but secure, inclusive, and trustworthy. I hope that you had a two-day productive, insightful, and truly inspiring conference, and thank you all for that. One more thing I would like to inform you. The boat is waiting for you on the dock downstairs at 1 a.m. I wish you have a safe trip home and good memories from this conference and our country that will inspire you to come again. Thank you very much and have a nice day.